Alright, buckle up, buttercups. You think you know France? You think it's all Eiffel Towers, croissants, and suave accents? Wrong. Today, we're ripping off the fancy beret and diving headfirst into a side of France they really don't want you to see. Specifically, the no-clothes allowed zone of Saint-Tropez. And trust me, it's not what the glossy brochures tell you. We're talking about the infamous Pampelon Beach, where wealth, nudity, and a whole lot of unspoken weirdness collide. It's marketed as a paradise of liberation, a sun-drenched utopia where inhibitions vanish like a bad tan line. But honey, the truth lurking behind this polished facade is more twisted than a pretzel at a contortionist convention. Stick around, because we're exposing the secrets they've kept under wraps. And while you're here, do us a solid, hit that like button and subscribe. You won't want to miss what else we uncover from around the world. Number 1. The illusion of liberation. Now, at first glance, Pampelon Beach looks like a shimmering mirage of freedom. Sun-kissed bodies, endless rows, the salty air whispering sweet nothings about shedding your inhibitions and dancing naked under the Mediterranean sun. It's the kind of postcard-perfect image that screams pure liberation, doesn't it? Like everyone has shed their worries alongside their swimwear, frolicking in an uninhibited utopia where the only thing that matters is the glow of the sun on your skin. You can almost hear the soft strum of a ukulele, feel the gentle caress of a warm breeze, and envision everyone embracing their authentic selves, unburdened by societal expectations. Ahem. But hold your horses, or should I say, your designer speedos, because beneath that sparkling, seemingly carefree surface, lies a meticulously crafted stage. This isn't just a beach, it's a meticulously curated set design for the ultra-wealthy, a high-stakes performance art piece where the dress code is less is more, provided that less still looks like $1,000,000. This isn't an open-minded oasis, folks. It's an exclusive playground where the bouncer is invisible, yet omnipresent, and the entry fee isn't just cash, it's a complex calculus of connections, conformity, and a body sculpted either by a Greek god, a team of very expensive surgeons, or perhaps a pact with a very stylish devil. You see, the brochure tells you this is a place where you're free to be yourself. But what if yourself isn't perfectly sculpted, dripping in quiet luxury that screams old money, or at least, incredibly successful new money, and arriving by tender from a superyacht that's so big it has its own zip code? The truth is, the freedom advertised here comes with an unspoken, incredibly exclusive VIP pass. It's a pass that's silently governed by stratospheric wealth, impossibly high beauty standards that make a Parisian fashion show look like a casual Tuesday, and a labyrinth of unspoken codes of status that would make an ancient aristocratic court blush. The atmosphere might try to scream casual, but every single detail, from the perfectly placed designer shades that cost more than your rent to the strategically tanned abs that scream I have a chef, a nutritionist, and a full-time personal trainer on retainer, is a calculated, painstaking display. It's like a meticulously choreographed ballet, only with fewer clothes and a lot more self-tanner and subtle Botox. Freedom here? It's an illusion, darling, reserved for the privileged few. This isn't about celebrating authenticity in its raw, unfiltered form. It's about performing a very specific, high-gloss, hyper-curated version of it. The beach isn't a melting pot of humanity. It's a silent, cutthroat competition. Who looks the best? Whose natural glow is the result of the most expensive facial treatments? Who's got the most impossibly toned physique that defies the laws of gravity and pizza? Who's sipping the most obscenely expensive rose, casually flicking the ice from their glass as if they just don't care, but secretly really care, because that bottle of Chateau Minity costs more than your monthly grocery bill? Who belongs, and who definitely doesn't? Even nudity, ironically, becomes a filter, a visual litmus test, separating the effortlessly chic insiders from the bewildered, slightly out-of-place outsiders. It's not vulnerability, it's a statement. A subtle yet unmistakable nod that says, yes, I belong here. My net worth has been verified, my diet is impeccable, and my dermatologist is on speed dial. Let's break this down, shall we? You think you can just rock up to Pampelon, shed your clothes, and feel the liberating breeze wash over you like a blessing from the freedom gods? Think again, pilgrim. The very landscape of the beach subtly, but effectively, segregates. The prime spots, closest to the high-end beach clubs with their thumping house music, pulsating light shows, and €50 cocktails served in champagne flutes, are implicitly, aggressively reserved. If you're not a regular, if your car isn't a certain make, and a recent model year naturally, or if you don't arrive with a certain look that screams I woke up like this, but after a team of stylists, you'll find yourself subtly, almost imperceptibly, shooed to the periphery. The staff, who are expected to remain virtually invisible as they cater to every whim of their high-paying clientele, become silent arbiters of this complex social order. They are the eyes and ears, the ones who know exactly who's who, who's important, and who's just a tourist trying to figure out where to put their towel without encroaching on someone's perfectly curated personal space, likely reserved hours in advance with a hefty deposit. Imagine this: you're strolling along the shoreline, feeling delightfully unburdened by clothing, perhaps a momentary surge of genuine liberation. But then you start to notice. Every other person seems to be a walking advertisement for genetic lottery wins and exorbitant lifestyle choices. Their effortless glow is not just the sun, it's the result of hours in a high-end spa, a personal spray tan artist flown in, and perhaps a touch of strategically applied shimmer. Their natural curves are often the product of a skilled surgeon's touch, a carefully selected set of implants, or a relentless regimen of expensive body contouring. The casual conversations you overhear aren't about local attractions. They're about private jet itineraries, yacht maintenance schedules, who's dating whom or paying whom, and which exclusive, off-the-books party is the real one to be seen at that evening. It's a constant, unspoken performance, a relentless competition of who can appear the most relaxed, the most entitled, the most effortlessly fabulous. You're not just naked, you're naked and under constant, silent evaluation. Every glance feels like a judgment, every conversation a veiled status update. The freedom here is less about personal liberation and more about the freedom to display one's status, one's economic power, and one's adherence to a very specific aesthetic ideal. Your body isn't just your own, it's a billboard advertising your perfect genes, or your ability to pay for them, your impeccable diet, and your unyielding adherence to a specific, almost unattainable ideal. This isn't a place for body positivity in its truest, most inclusive sense. It's a place for body perfectionism, with a capital P, a lowercase price tag that would stun you, and an unspoken expectation that you look like you just stepped off a magazine cover. And if you don't meet that rigorous, often manufactured standard, the initial sensation of liberation quickly turns into quiet discomfort, even acute self-consciousness. You might find yourself awkwardly trying to casually cover up with a towel or a sarong, not because you're suddenly shy, but because you feel acutely aware of not fitting into the unwritten, invisible dress code of flawless undress. Behind every perfectly tanned body lies a rigid hierarchy built not on liberation, but on power, presentation, and pretense. It's a gilded cage, my friends, where the bars are made of exclusivity and the air is thick with silent competition. It's the ultimate irony, a place where clothes are forbidden, yet the unspoken rules of appearance and status are more constricting than any designer straitjacket. And speaking of competition, and things that are definitely not free. Number 2, the unspoken marketplace. So you're basking in the Saint-Tropez sun, feeling all one with nature, maybe enjoying a casual and wildly overpriced glass of rose, feeling delightfully unburdened by, well, everything. You're imagining this idyllic scene, where everyone is just living their best life, right? Wrong again, buttercup. Because behind the glamorous, sun-drenched facade of this nudist paradise, there's an unsettling truth rarely acknowledged but universally understood. The beach, despite being framed as a grand celebration of freedom and sensuality, quietly operates as an unspoken, highly exclusive marketplace. And no, I'm not talking about a pop-up souvenir stand selling tiny yachts made of seashells, or an artisanal craft market. I'm talking about something far more transactional. Something with a much higher price tag, though the price is rarely quoted aloud. The questions hang silently in the salty air, just above the perfectly sculpted abs and designer sunglasses. Who's watching? Who's for sale? And what exactly is the currency here? These aren't shouted from the thumping speakers of the beach clubs. They're whispered in hushed tones over expensive aperitifs, hinted at with knowing glances, and understood through a complex, almost balletic dance of subtle cues, discreet introductions, and carefully orchestrated encounters. This is a place where young, strikingly beautiful women, often barely out of their teens, or in their very early 20s, find themselves frequently approached by older, disproportionately wealthy men. These aren't just polite conversations about the weather. These are propositions, wrapped in layers of sophisticated charm and glittering promises. The offers? They vary, but the underlying theme is remarkably consistent: luxury in exchange for companionship. We're talking free weekends on superyachts that make your entire hometown look like a rubber ducky in a bathtub, promises of international modeling exposure that magically appear after a private dinner, lucrative business opportunities that seem to involve more private jet travel and exclusive parties than actual boardroom meetings. It could be the gift of a high-end designer handbag, a first-class flight to a remote island, or the quiet settlement of a debt. The dynamic, my friends, is unmistakably transactional. It's a soft form of bartering, where youth and beauty are the chips on the table, and a lavish lifestyle is the payout. Prostitution? Oh, heaven forbid. They'd never be so uncouth as to explicitly name it, certainly not in polite Saint-Tropez society. That would be far too vulgar. But the lines here blur faster than a cheap watercolor painting in a sudden Mediterranean downpour. When intimacy, presence, discretion, and a certain kind of glamour factor are bartered for access to a life of private jets, 5-star villas, Michelin-star dinners, and endless designer shopping sprees, what exactly do you call it? It's the art of the unspoken contract, perfected. It's the silent understanding that access to this elite world comes with unwritten expectations, an invisible ledger of quid pro quo. It's not about explicit financial exchange, It's about the exchange of status, desire, and opportunity, dressed up in designer silk and a perpetually sunny disposition. This scene is practically a well-oiled machine, operating with an almost surgical precision. You'll see escorts, the kind who blend seamlessly into any high society gathering, influencers whose primary influence seems to be on the spending habits of their older male companions, and sugar babies moving through the scene with an effortless grace, a practiced air of casual luxury. Their presence is as expected as champagne at brunch, as ubiquitous as the sun itself, and as integral to the ecosystem as the perfectly manicured palm trees. Some arrive as the impeccably dressed plus ones to powerful, often shadowy financiers, looking every bit the part of the perfect silent accessory, adding a youthful spark to a powerful presence. Others are explicitly networking, eyes constantly scanning the horizon for their next sponsor, their next opportunity to elevate their lifestyle, or simply maintain the current one. It's a delicate high-stakes dance of give and take, where the give is often their youth, beauty, and carefully curated companionship, and the take is a slice of a life most of us only ever see on Instagram feeds that are heavily filtered, presenting only the glittering surface. And where do these complex, often morally ambiguous transactions truly culminate? Step right up, because the yachts anchored just offshore aren't just for idyllic photo ops or quiet family vacations. Oh no, these floating palaces become exclusive, impenetrable stages for private indulgent gatherings where boundaries dissolve quicker than ice in a rose spritzer, and reputations are quietly bought and sold with nothing but a nod, a clink of glasses, and a shared understanding of discretion. These aren't just parties, they're incubators of unchecked excess and absolute confidentiality, where what happens at sea, quite literally, stays at sea. From whispered deals involving massive sums to uninhibited escapades that would raise eyebrows even in ancient Rome, everything operates under a calculated veil of secrecy. It's the ultimate what happens in Vegas, stays in Vegas rule, except with more bespoke linen, less neon, significantly higher stakes, and zero chance of a candid photo leak. What happens on these sun-baked sands and in these glittering cabins doesn't just stay here. It disappears, vanishes into the ether, protected by an impenetrable fortress of immense wealth, ironclad privacy contracts that could silence a small army, and mutual interests that bind everyone involved in a silent, complicit agreement. If you're wealthy enough, influential enough, or beautiful enough to navigate this intricate web, the rules of conventional society simply cease to apply in the same way they do for the common folk. This entire beach, in its dazzling splendor, remains a hidden theater of pleasure, power, and what can only be described as carefully disguised exploitation. It's a system that thrives on the unspoken, the implied, where the currency isn't just cold, hard euros, but access, beauty, and the profound, often desperate, desire for a life beyond one's ordinary reach. It's a chilling reminder that even in a place marketed as the epitome of freedom, true liberation can be bought, sold, and deeply compromised. But hey, at least the tans are real. Or are they? Because the pressure to achieve that effortless look is a whole other story. One that often involves more than just sunshine. Stay tuned. Number 3, the Battle of the Bods. Plastic fantastic? So we've unpeeled the layers of Saint-Tropez liberation, and glimpsed the unspoken currency of its marketplace. You'd think logically that a nudist beach, a place where all bodies are by definition exposed, would be the ultimate body-positive zone, right? A grand, shimmering symphony of human diversity, celebrating every curve, every ripple, every gloriously unique form. Wahahaha. Oh, you sweet, naive summer child. If only. In Saint-Tropez, that idealistic dream unravels faster than a cheap bikini in a sudden rogue wave. Who actually gets to feel genuinely comfortable, genuinely free here? The answer, my friends, lies in a rigid, deeply ingrained, and completely unspoken rulebook of appearance. Despite the glossy marketing hype about self-love, authenticity, and natural beauty being celebrated in this sun-drenched paradise, the reality is a crushingly narrow, almost surgically precise definition of attractiveness. We're talking about a very specific blueprint, impossibly slim waists that defy gravity and carb consumption, flawless skin that looks like it's never seen a pore or a blemish, and features so perfectly proportioned and enhanced they could have their own postcode. These aren't just high standards. These are Mount Everest standards, scaled with the help of medical advancements and endless disposable income. The landscape is dominated by a seemingly endless parade of bodies that appear to have been sculpted by a deity with a penchant for Pilates and a generous plastic surgery budget. Behind those seemingly effortless, sun-drenched smiles is an intense, relentless pressure to meet a curated image of perfection. An image that appears utterly natural and effortless, yet often involves hours, even years, in a high-end gym with a celebrity trainer, costly and painful dermatological treatments that could fund a small nation, or even multiple rounds of cosmetic surgery. This isn't just about looking good, it's about looking like you woke up flawless, despite the small army of professionals and procedures that went into achieving that natural glow. Consider this, you might see someone with a seemingly perfect, perky silhouette. Was that achieved solely through kale smoothies and sunrise yoga? Or was there a discreet lift or augmentation involved? That remarkably smooth forehead with not a single worry line? Probably not just good genes. More likely, a perfectly timed Botox injection. Those lusciously full lips that look just kissable? Hello, lip fillers. It's an unspoken arms race of abs, cheekbones, and perfectly plumped lips. We're talking about procedures that are whispered about in hushed tones over organic juices, but openly visible on the beach. Some women, in candid moments off the beach, will admit to undergoing a veritable shopping list of procedures solely to feel confident enough to even consider gracing these hyperjudgmental sands. We're talking tanning sessions so intense they might as well be an Olympic sport, regular Botox top-ups to ensure not a single emotion wrinkles the brow, lip fillers to achieve that coveted pout, and surgical enhancements that range from discreet nips and tucks to more significant overhauls. These aren't optional extras here. For many, they're practically part of the Saint-Tropez uniform. The message is crystal clear: natural is acceptable, but only if it looks polished, ageless, and photogenic enough to launch 1,000 Instagram envy posts. It's the ultimate paradox, a place where clothes are shed, but the layers of artifice often remain, meticulously applied. This silent conformity, this relentless pursuit of a single unattainable ideal, drains the space of any true acceptance. Instead of embracing the glorious diversity of human forms, the beach often becomes a runway of artificial authenticity. What should be genuinely freeing, a celebration of your unique self, instead turns into a relentless, exhausting competition where your body is not celebrated, but judged. It's measured not by confidence, by joy, or by genuine self-love, but by how well it fits a luxury brand ideal of liberation, an ideal that has been designed, manufactured, and sold for a very, very hefty price. It's a cruel trick. You come seeking freedom, only to find another set of shackles, albeit invisible ones. Host, this kind of curated reality, this unspoken pressure to conform to an impossible standard, is just one of the hidden truths bubbling beneath the surface of this seemingly idyllic paradise. If uncovering these kinds of stories, the ones they don't put in the travel brochures, is something you're into, then you know what to do. Consider hitting that subscribe button right now. Don't beg, just know that joining our community means more eye-opening insights and adventures that go way beyond the superficial. You won't regret it. Because after all, what's hiding under those shimmering waves when the sun finally dips below the horizon might just shock you even more. Number 4. When the sun sets, a different kind of glow-up. Alright, the sun is beginning its majestic dip below the Mediterranean horizon. The golden hour casts a warm, inviting glow over the Pampelon beach, making everything look even more perfect, more serene. But don't be fooled, my friends. When daylight fades in Saint-Tropez, the real party doesn't just begin, it explodes. And it's a party that happens far from the public eye, behind tinted villa windows, in exclusive, unlisted clubs, and on secluded superyachts anchored just offshore. These private settings become sanctuaries for excess, where discretion isn't just a courtesy, it's an absolute, ironclad requirement. So what really happens when the cameras are gone, the influencers are off duty, and the last remnants of natural daylight vanish? The answer, my friends, is whispered, not spoken. It's a hushed reality that permeates the air, far more intoxicating than the salty breeze. Let's just say, the menu expands significantly beyond just vintage rose. We're talking about substances, cocaine, MDMA, ketamine. These aren't hidden away in back alleys or discreet corners. Oh no, in these elite circles, they are casually offered, almost expected, presented as if they were just another option on the cocktail list, as normalized as ordering a glass of fine French wine. In these circles, drug use isn't just normalized, it's often encouraged, almost a ritual, an integral part of the experience of uninhibited luxury. It's a calculated part of the environment, designed to lower inhibitions and heighten the sense of reckless abandon. Behind the pulsating music, the dazzling lights, and the veneer of glamour, however, lie far darker realities that rarely, if ever, see the light of day. Staff who have worked these exclusive parties, the silent, invisible army we'll talk about later, speak of chilling incidents. They tell tales of overdoses, swiftly swept under the rug as if they never happened, a frantic scramble to manage a medical emergency without alerting anyone beyond the immediate, trusted circle. They recount stories of young models, sometimes barely conscious, passed out in luxurious lounges while their hosts laughed it off, seemingly unconcerned. There are even whispers of violent episodes, quickly silenced with the astonishing power of money or influence, the incident erased from memory with a few well-placed phone calls and a substantial transfer. The silence that follows these events is deafening, a testament to the suffocating power of wealth and privilege. That makes it all the more lucrative and interesting, as one expert might say, for drug trafficking groups, both because tourists can purchase drugs there or become couriers. The flow of illicit substances is a well-oiled machine, integrated into the very fabric of the high-end party circuit. So, why aren't there consequences? Why doesn't law enforcement swoop in like a French special ops team, busting these decadent dens of indulgence? Ah, therein lies the rub. In Saint-Tropez, law enforcement is rarely, and I mean rarely, present in the specific insulated spaces where the ultra-wealthy play. It's a curious phenomenon, isn't it? When authorities are eventually called, often after a significant delay or only when an incident becomes truly unavoidable, responses are notoriously slow, or worse, they're quietly dismissed altogether. It's not incompetence, it's an unspoken code. Quiet bribes, powerful connections to influential families and political figures, and a pervasive atmosphere of don't ask, don't tell ensure that public order doesn't dare interfere with private indulgence. It's a symbiotic relationship, almost. The town's economy thrives on this fantasy, this illusion of a consequence-free playground. And that means protecting those who pay to live without limits, those who fill the coffers and maintain the image of unattainable luxury. Justice, like truth, becomes entirely negotiable in this carefully controlled escape from accountability. It's less about breaking the law and more about buying immunity from it. The moral decay, the sheer recklessness, it's all part of the package. It's the dark underbelly of a dream that many aspire to but few truly comprehend. This isn't just about fun, it's about absolute power, absolute discretion, and the unsettling realization that for some, the rules simply don't apply when the sun goes down. This stuff, the real stories behind the glamour, isn't something you'll find on the travel agency wall. If you're finding this eye-opening, if it's got you thinking about the real price of paradise, then do us a favor. Smash that like button right now. Seriously, hit it. It helps us know these are the stories you want to hear, the truths you want to uncover. And speaking of hidden realities, who do you think cleans up after these wild, consequence-free nights? The answer might surprise and disturb you. Number 5. The invisible army of indulgence. We've swanned through the illusion of liberation, waltzed across the unspoken marketplace, and dodged the surgical enhancements. We even peeked into the wild, consequence-free nights of Saint-Tropez elite. But now, let's talk about something truly jarring, something that exists beneath the gloss, beneath the sand, beneath even the most lavish yacht deck. It's the hidden economy built on silent labor, the unacknowledged backbone of this glittering illusion. While the ultra-wealthy tan and party in uninhibited luxury, a largely invisible workforce keeps the entire extravagant charade intact. Who prepares those gourmet meals that cost more than your monthly salary? Who meticulously cleans the sprawling beachfront villas after a champagne-soaked bacchanal? Who tirelessly maintains the sleek yachts floating just offshore, ensuring every surface gleams and every amenity functions flawlessly? The answer isn't a team of robots, though sometimes their efficiency might suggest it. It's mostly immigrant workers from North Africa, Eastern Europe, and Southeast Asia. People whose presence is absolutely essential to the seamless operation of this luxurious playground, yet whose existence is deliberately, almost aggressively, overlooked. They are the gears in the opulent machine, the silent foundation upon which the entire fantasy is built. The scene, as one observer puts it, is during the daytime, at the beach clubs, where the music goes on and people partying all day. And while some, if they dress well and act well, might be lucky enough to blend into the upper crowd, for the vast majority, blending in isn't an option. Their role is to be invisible. To facilitate, to serve, to clean, without ever breaking the illusion of effortless wealth and privilege. Imagine this. The sun hasn't even begun to kiss the horizon, painting the sky in soft pastels. The beach is still empty, save for the occasional security guard. But already, small groups of these workers are arriving, often by vans or scooters, their faces tired but determined. They're here to polish silverware, arrange designer sun loungers with millimeter precision, stock champagne flutes, scrub kitchens until they sparkle, and meticulously clean up the remnants of the previous night's excess. They are the unseen hands that make the magic happen, ensuring that when the first wave of billionaires and supermodels arrives, everything is pristine, perfect, and appears as if it materialized effortlessly. As guests order €1,000 bottles of rose without a moment's hesitation, perhaps even leaving half-finished glasses in the sand, these workers often survive on modest wages, endure incredibly long shifts that stretch from before dawn until well past midnight, and receive minimal, if any, recognition. Their tips, when they happen, are a bonus, not a given. But it's not just about the money, or the lack thereof. It's about dignity. The divide between server and served is not just stark, it's a chasm, and it shapes every single interaction. While guests revel in uninhibited freedom, enjoying their consequence-free existence, the workers move with caution, bound by strict rules, a rigid hierarchy, and the constant, gnawing fear of losing their livelihoods. A single misstep, a perceived affront, a moment of visible tiredness, could cost them their job, their visa, their entire fragile existence in this gilded bubble. In this so-called paradise, freedom truly is a privilege, not a right. And it belongs almost exclusively to those on the receiving end of the service, never to those providing it. The irony is bitter. The very people who enable the liberation of the elite are themselves anything but free. They are bound by economic necessity, by the unspoken demands of the system, by the need to maintain an illusion that they can never truly be a part of. They are forced to be silent witnesses to excess, to waste, and sometimes, to outright exploitation, without the luxury of complaint or even acknowledgement. They are the ghosts in the machine, essential yet erased. This side of Saint-Tropez isn't just about glamour, it's about the uncomfortable truths that power it. If these kinds of deep dives, these unflinching looks behind the velvet ropes of the world's most exclusive destinations, are something you find compelling, then you really don't want to miss what else we have coming. Do yourself a favor and hit that subscribe button right now. Joining our community means you'll be the first to know when we uncover another story that challenges the narrative, another hidden truth that forces us all to think a little differently. Don't wait, the real stories are always the best ones. And speaking of challenges, and things that force us to think differently, let's talk about the ultimate price of perfection in a place where your body is always on trial. Number 6. The price of perfection, a mental meltdown. We've journeyed through the dazzling opulence, the unspoken shadowy deals, the thankless labor of the invisible army, and the wild, often consequence-free dark nights of Saint-Tropez. We've seen the layers of illusion stacked higher than a superyacht on dry dock. But now, let's talk about the final, and perhaps most insidious, dark truth. This one exists not in the shadows of exclusive clubs or the cabins of yachts, but in the often tortured minds of those desperately, relentlessly trying to belong, trying to maintain the illusion. Beneath the sunlit confidence displayed on Saint-Tropez' nudist beach, beneath the perfect tans, the carefully sculpted physiques, and the seemingly carefree smiles, lies a quieter, yet profoundly more troubling reality, the brutal invisible cost of relentless self-optimization. What happens when the pursuit of freedom becomes just another relentless, soul-crushing performance? For many, especially the army of influencers, the it-girls, the socialites, and every single image-driven visitor, the pressure to appear effortlessly liberated, perfectly happy, and eternally flawless is, quite simply, mentally exhausting. It's a never-ending masquerade, where the mask itself isn't just heavy, it's suffocating. Think about it, every single movement, every pose, every laugh, every casual hair flip, it's not just happening. It's being meticulously documented, filtered to within an inch of its life, because God forbid a pore shows up, and curated with a precision that would make a professional art curator blush with envy. It's all for an insatiable online audience, starving for the illusion of the perfect, unattainable lifestyle. You scroll through the polished snapshots, the sun-kissed brunch, the spontaneous giggle on the yacht deck, the effortless stroll along the shoreline. It all looks so easy, so perfect, so aspirational. But behind these perfectly pixelated images are real individuals grappling with deep-seated insecurities, insidious eating disorders that control their every bite, body dysmorphia so profound it distorts their own reflection into a monstrous caricature, and crushing anxiety that gnaws at them from the inside, a constant low-frequency hum of dread. These struggles are not rare, they are shockingly common, rampant even, yet they are rarely, if ever, discussed openly. They are the inconvenient truths that shatter the illusion of paradise. They are the messy, ugly reality that contradicts the flawless fantasy. The expectation to look flawless, to always be on, to maintain that razor-thin veneer of carefree perfection creates a silent, yet immensely heavy burden. Imagine waking up knowing that every single inch of your body will be on display, not just for fleeting glances, but potentially for immortalization on a million Instagram feeds, scrutinized by strangers and peers alike. How can one truly relax, truly unwind, truly be themselves in an environment where every glance feels like judgment, every casual conversation a veiled comparison, and every single moment could be captured, uploaded, and analyzed for instant public scrutiny? Even off-camera, when the phones are ostensibly put away during a private dinner, the culture offers no reprieve. The conversations invariably revolve around appearance. The latest celebrity diet fads, the newest cosmetic procedures. Who did your lips? They look so natural. Who looks natural enough to fit in? Who's gained a pound? Who's lost one? Who looks tired? Who looks refreshed? It's a perpetual unspoken audit of physical perfection, a relentless, exhausting scorecard where you're always trying to outscore your own best look. This isn't just about superficiality, it's about the erosion of self-worth. Instead of promoting genuine self-acceptance, the nudist beach, in its cruelest irony, often becomes a mirror that mercilessly magnifies flaws and heightens self-doubt to an agonizing degree. It's a place designed to make you feel perpetually less than, inadequate, and insufficient, unless you are willing to dedicate your entire existence, and a significant portion of your net worth, to maintaining an impossible ideal that is, by its very nature, unsustainable. What should be a sanctuary of openness, a place where people shed their insecurities along with their clothes, instead morphs into a high-pressure performance arena. Many feel exposed in the worst way, not just physically, but emotionally, psychologically, spiritually. They strip off their garments, revealing their bodies, only to put on a far more demanding and suffocating costume, the costume of enforced perfection. Authenticity is not just replaced by performance, it's systematically strangled by it, until it can barely breathe. And freedom, the very thing people supposedly flock here for, morphs into a form of constant surveillance, both external, from others' gazes and phone cameras, and perhaps most damagingly internal, from your own hypercritical self. For those struggling behind the scenes, behind the blinding smiles and the perfectly executed poses, the beach's glamorous glow only deepens the shadows they're desperately trying to hide. The ephemeral joy of a perfect photo op, the fleeting validation of 100 likes, is just that, fleeting. But the mental anguish of chasing that perfection, of trying to maintain an unsustainable facade, is a constant, unwelcome companion. It clings to them like the humid Mediterranean air, a weight on their shoulders that no designer sarong can conceal. It's a stark reminder that even in the most outwardly beautiful, privileged places on earth, true happiness and inner peace are not for sale, and certainly can't be bought with champagne, exclusive access, or a perfectly executed designer tan. The human cost of maintaining this luxurious facade is immense, a silent epidemic of anxiety, depression and insecurity, hidden expertly beneath the glittering surface of ultimate indulgence. It's a tragic testament to the corrosive power of hyperimage culture, where the pursuit of an external ideal consumes the internal self, leaving behind a hollow echo where genuine joy once resided. The real tragedy is that many will leave Saint-Tropez feeling more confined, more judged, and less free than when they arrived, despite having shed every stitch of clothing. If this truth resonates with you, if it's got you rethinking what paradise really means, if it sparked even a flicker of recognition in your own experiences with societal pressure, then do us one last favor. Smash that like button right now. Seriously, hit it as hard as you can. It sends a clear signal that these are the real, honest conversations you want to have, the stories that go beyond the brochure, beyond the perfectly filtered feeds. Help us spread this message. It's time more people saw the reality beneath the glamour, because the truth, even when it's unsettling, is always more valuable, more liberating, and ultimately, more real than any carefully constructed illusion. So there you have it. Saint-Tropez's nudist beach sells a fantasy of liberation, but behind the sun and status lies a world built on illusion where wealth dictates value and freedom is just another performance. True escape isn't found in excess, but in authenticity. From cliffside villages to wild coastlines, France offers places where peace doesn't need to be purchased and where you're free not to impress, but to simply exist. So ask yourself, do you want to be seen or do you want to feel free? If this journey opened your eyes, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories that go beyond the postcard.